Hey, all right, there we go. We are live. Do the chat check before we get going here. Make sure everything is going good over there. What is up? What do you guys want to talk about tonight? I got the Kyle Petty on Ryan Blaney comments where he said he's comparing him, I guess, to Casey Kane, who's not. All right, the chat is working. That's awesome. All right, so where he's comparing him to Casey Kane, which to me, as Bumblebee pointed out on Twitter, if you're not following her on Twitter, check her out. Uh, that's not the worst comparison of all time, right? Casey Kane might not be a first ballot Hall of Famer, but he does have 18 wins or so, much like Ryan Newman. He's right there on the cusp of getting into the Hall of Fame. So, not the worst person to be compared to. And for a long time, he carried that banner for Dodge. So, he is sort of an iconic guy. Ryan Blaney's been with Penske now for, I think, 5 or 6 years. So, he's done well at Penske. He's on pace to probably do about what Casey Kane did. I don't know. I haven't really looked at the numbers, but it seems like a fair comparison. Like everybody thought Casey Kane was going to be the next big thing. They thought he was kind of going to be, I guess, what Kyle Larson is, because he was that guy coming from dirt that everybody wanted to see how well that transferred over. Ricky Stenhouse Jr., ironically enough, was another guy coming from dirt that everybody was like, oh, this guy is going to light the world on fire. Stuff like that happens. There's always these high prospects, and sometimes they live up to the hype. Sometimes they don't live up to the hype. Ryan Blaney, he's got the extra added pressure of being, Dave Blaney's son. So he's got a whole lot of stuff going on. But I didn't think it was an out of the way comparison. But I think just people wanted to go with the headline there, which I guess was when Kyle Petty said he never does anything. He hasn't achieved his full potential yet. So I guess sort of a lot of headline grabbing on that one, but they took one statement without going over the full context of what Kyle Petty was saying. And look, Ryan Blaney could turn out like Casey Kane, where he doesn't win but maybe 18 or 20 races. But there's also another way of looking at this. You could look at it like he comes out like Martin Truex. It took Martin Truex quite a while to really get going, but once Martin Truex got with that right crew chief, once Martin Truex Jr. got with the right team and stuff like that, he started becoming a championship contender every single race. So it can go either way. Like, Blaney could develop later on in his career, or he could, sort of be like Casey Kane, where he continues to win 1 or 2 races a season outside of that, I think, 5 or 6 win season that maybe Casey Kane had. So it could go either way. Napa Racing Fan dropping me the Casey Kane 18 Cup wins, including 1 Brickyard 400 and 3 Coca-Cola 600. So there you go. He's got some crown jewels. And he would like Casey Kane carried the flag for Dodge for a long time. So let's not forget that either. He was the Dodge guy. Basically, he sort of filled that gap after. I guess Bill Elliott was the first like really big Dodge guy. He filled the gap between I guess Sterling Marlin and Dodge leaving the sport with Keselowski. So I guess he filled that gap. I guess before Dodge went to Penske or whatever you want to say there. Let's see here. Mark Barnum saying, "What's up? What's up, Mark?" Evan Oslin, "What's up, man? Hope you're doing good today." Bumblebee, "What's up?" Rich L, "What's good?" Good to have Rich and Bumblebee on here playing goalie. Shah says, "Good evening, all." Kyle Petty is the poster child for unfilled potential. So there you go. He's already an expert. I blame him for what is now Legacy Motor Club. That's a fair statement. That's something we could get into. That I said, I have to agree after watching Blaney last year. So yeah, it's easy to say that about Blaney because he didn't win a race last year. But let's not take anything away from Blaney. He had a heck of a season without a win, and also, he did win the All-Star race. So holding up his window net with one hand, also by the way. So that is technically a crown jewel. So even though people want to point a finger and be like, "Oh, last season he didn't win a race," but he did get a crown jewel. He got an All-Star win. So there's 2 ways of looking at last season, and I fully expect him to get a couple of wins this season. He hasn't started off strong. He's had some bad luck, but he is a very good race car driver. It's also a situation where he's at Penske, and Penske is good equipment. Penske is one of the best teams out there, but is it a good fit for Ryan Blaney? That's a fair question to ask, in my opinion. And to jump to the Kyle Petty would know, he's the king of unfilled potential. Kyle Petty was a great race car driver. Kyle Petty didn't love racing though. Kyle Petty was more into country music and stuff like that. So he looked at racing like a lot of people, like a lot of young people would look at their first part-time job. It's something to get you somewhere else. It's just something you do. But he was a good driver. He just never really wanted to be a driver, in my opinion. He looked at racing like being born into the family company, and he said so much in other things. Robin Marks says, greetings from Kazakhstan. What's up, Robin Marks? What's up, Canada? Mark Barnes said Kyle Petty was a bust compared to his dad and granddad. I mean, yes, a 7-time champion. And before Richard was a 7-time champion, Lee Petty was pretty much the man, too. So let's not forget about that. So tough shoes to fill. I don't think he ever wanted to fill them. I just don't think he ever really wanted to be a race car driver, even though he was good at it when he was interested in doing it. Let's see here. What's up, BB and everyone else? What's up, T-Van? Casey Kane and Dale Jr.'s career are kind of similar. Then Jr. and Kane had 6-win seasons in 04 and 06 and never had a better season afterwards. I would say Jr. Was consistently better. So, yeah, Jr. became like the model of consistency, sort of like a Ryan Newman type driver. So that's a fair statement. Bumblebee said everybody's just hating on Kyle because his opinion bites them on the butt. Kyle doesn't care, and he's not wrong about Blaney either. Yeah, and so that's a fair statement too. I do like the fact that he puts stuff out there and he doesn't back away from it. So I do like that. Let me say this, Kyle Petty, Never Racing Fan 927. That's a famous sort of like, so there you have it. Sort of like me saying that. I guess that's one of Kyle Petty's mannerisms. Napa Racing Fan says Casey Kane is still a decent dirt driver. Yeah, Casey Kane was always a good driver. He was a good cup driver too. Like, I mean, you know, I just don't think he ever got the crew chief in Cup that really just sort of meshed with him or whatever. So I think that's part of it. Crew chiefs make a huge difference. Like, you can be the best guy in the world, if you don't get a crew chief that can translate your language into setting up that car, you're in big time trouble. I think Blaney needs to go to Stuart Haas. So Stuart Haas will be a good fit as long as he gets Rodney Childers when Kevin Harvick retires. I don't know if it's the drivers or the crew chiefs over there, but something is not as of right now clicking with the other teams. So that's going to be an interesting thing to watch over there at Stuart Haas, because there's no way that Kevin Harvick and Rodney Childers are getting that much speed out of those cars, and the other guys are not getting the same amount of speed out of those cars. So that's going to be something interesting to watch over there as well. Provocate says Blaney is definitely a good driver, considering you can look at the results of the 21 car and tell the years he was in that car. I think the issue lies with Penske. So we definitely saw the Penske cars have good regular speed, and then they fell in the last race at Las Vegas is what I'm talking about, and then fell off after basically the first 5 laps. So Penske just might be off a little bit this year, and it's Penske, so I fully expect them to be good after that, no doubt about it. One wise guy says, rumor has it that Corey LaJoie could possibly run the 9. Is that even possible? And what would that mean for Spire? So basically, Spire would be renting him out in a situation like that, and it is possible. We have seen things like that happen in the past. Most notably, Ernie Irvin was rented out to Robert Yates Racing, and that became a permanent thing. So I don't know. It wouldn't become a permanent thing with the 9 car, so I don't think Spire has to worry about that. But you could see a situation where they rent them out. There has been times like that in the sport where things like that happen. Let's see. I would put Blaney and Alex Bowman on the same tier. I'd say Bowman is slightly better overall right now. Yeah, so that's probably a fair comparison. I think Blaney is certainly more consistent. He gets the more consistent finishes, but Alex Bowman gets more wins, but then also gets more DNFs. So I think that's pretty close. You're cutting out on my end, probably my internet. So hopefully the internet's good for everybody. Other than that, Tacona 2, every time you say, I hear Mark Martin because I was a big Mark Martin fan. It's also my accent too. I have a terrible accent in every language that I try to speak. So I can't speak any language without a horrible accent. So that's part of it too. Tacona 2. Shah says, I would be proud to be compared to Casey Kane, and I give Blaney a clean slate as it's a new season, and I like him. Yeah, so I think what goes overlooked is he did win a crown jewel last year. Everybody likes to point out that he didn't win a race. He did win a race. It was a crown jewel. He won the All-Star race. He won one of the bigger races of the season. He made $1 million in quote unquote in one race and quote unquote a down year for him. So I don't know. And he also made the Final Four, almost made the Final Four without winning a race. Harvick didn't fire off truly till he moved to Stuart Haas. Yeah, so that's another fair comparison. A lot of the years he was at RCR, RCR was down, and then the good years he was at RCR, Jimmy Johnson just, edged him out in the points and stuff like that. A lot of second place finishes at RCR when RCR was up to the task, though. Blaney to the 4-car or 10-car in 2024. I'm predicting that's going to end up happening. Yes, I don't quite know the length of his contract. I feel like he just signed an extension. So I would lean toward probably Almirola, because we know Almirola is going to be there for probably an extra year. Molten Rage, what's up, man? Let's go, Carson, getting into the Xfinity Series. So there you go, some news. Carson, excuse me, Carson Hocevar will be driving for Spire in the Xfinity Series at Bristol. So he'll be making his Xfinity Series debut for Spire over there. At least I think it's his Xfinity Series debut. Mark Wachowski, anyone who gets his license to run Cup is a good race car driver. Talent is a huge factor, as is sponsorship, top-tier race cars, and good teams. Yeah, for the most part, I do agree with you on that. No doubt about it. And let's not forget what Kyle Petty did early on in his career. Everybody remembers the 45 when he was just sort of, I feel like dealing with losing his son, to be quite frank with you. That's why he ran the 45, and that's why he tried to keep going. I think he was trying to get one more win in that 45 to honor his son, and it just never worked out because at that point in time, Petty had taken a serious nosedive toward the bad side of it. But if you remember before that, in that 42 car in particular, and with the Wood brothers, Kyle Petty, he was pretty good race car driver. Josh Berry will drive the ovals, and that Taylor guy is going to drive COTA, so that's pretty cool. That's a pretty cool situation. I'm excited to see Jordan Taylor in there. One wise guy, Josh Berry and Jordan Taylor are confirmed to drive the 9. So there you go. Those are going to be your confirmed drivers. I'm glad that Josh Berry is getting an opportunity, and I'm also glad that Jordan Taylor is going to get an opportunity to run that car as well. Kyle Petty is the man. That guy can make thousands of NASCAR fans go crazy on each other just by saying one word. LOL, says Anthony Auto Club Speedway. That's a fact. He's got a profound reach on his Coffee with Kyle or whatever show he's doing at the moment. He gets it going, no doubt about it. He builds excitement. NASCAR wants excitement. They need Kyle Petty involved in it. What's up, guys? Says Mr. Pearson. What's up, Mr. Pearson? Cheers to you as well. Let's see here. Robin Mark says Josh Berry, Jordan Taylor to fill in during Elliott's 6-week recovery, according to NASCAR in video just released this hour. So there you go. Going to be a 6-week recovery is what they're predicting. Napa Racing Fan says Corey LaJoie deserves props, outrunning his teammate by 15 to 20 positions and finishing top 20 every race. Daytona 16th, Fontana 14th, and Las Vegas 20th. So there you go. There you go. Yeah, I'm big on Ryan Blaney. I think he's a super underrated. I don't know necessarily underrated anymore, but I don't know. He gets overshadowed by Joey Logano, and a lot of people are really excited about Cindric. So he sort of seems like the forgotten child in the Penske mix some days. Dave Blaney was awesome. I miss seeing him each weekend. I miss seeing that old 07 car. That was a good looking car when he drove that back in the day. Rich L. So let's see here. Rich L said, what I meant to say, only fast cars for Penske seems to be Joey. Last year, BK and now Austin seem to have cars with a different setup. Blaney as well. Don't factor out that Paul Wolf is Joey Logano's crew chief as well. So there is that as well. Paul Wolf, one of the best in the business, in my opinion. Derek Hope will fill in the 9 car at Phoenix, says OJ and Toothpaste. Yes, they pulled the old 7-time veteran, 7-time championship veteran Derek Hope out of retirement. He's going to fill in on our Earth 2. Me and OJ's Earth 2, where the bad drivers are good and the good drivers are, well, bad. I predict Hocevar is in the wall 7 times by lap 2, says Bumblebee. Uh-oh. There we go. Hocevar is debuting at Dover. So, he's debuting at Dover. So there you go. He'll be racing at Dover first before Bristol. So 2 tough tracks to start off basically a rookie campaign in Xfinity, even though it's a few one-offs there for Spire. The car looks really good, though. So if you haven't seen the car, go ahead and look that up. It's pretty good. At least I think it's a pretty good-looking car. Reminds me sort of an old Pepsi Max Jeff Gordon car, except actually looks good. Hooking people in 2 laps, hooking people in 2 laps, says Mark Barnum. So there you go. Not a lot of people impressed with the aggressive driving style, so we'll see about that. He gets 6 starts: Dover, Charlotte, Nashville, Michigan, Darlington, and Bristol. So there you go. I feel like Jordan Taylor will do well because the new car is basically a sports car. Yeah, that's a fair point. So we've seen open wheel guys come over and sort of hold their own. And we've also seen sports car drivers come over and hold their own. Kimi Räikkönen, like, although he wasn't threatening to win the race or anything like that, he was holding his own. Like, when he had track position, he was able to maintain it. So it seems like this new car does translate pretty well if you've driven sports cars in the past, which is why actually when you see some of these Xfinity guys come up, they're having a really hard time adjusting to the car. Particularly last week at Vegas, you saw Ty Gibbs struggle with the setup a little bit. Noah Gragson, we don't know what he did because he sped on pit road about 1,000 times. And then Josh Berry obviously had his issues as well. Even before the throttle was sticking, I feel like Josh Berry was having a few issues with the feel of this type of car versus an Xfinity car. Where it seems to be like the opposite for people that have driven sports cars already. I remember Kyle Petty making some awesome moves back in his day, but dang, if he sacrificed a lot to NASCAR, cannot be easy sharing dad and losing a son. Yes, and like that's pretty accurate. Like, the fact that he still wants to be part of the sport, a lot of people would have lost their taste for it after what he's been through. Bumblebee saying hello to Moulton. Carson will be overdriving in the Xfinity Series. That's his MO. That's kind of what he does. He's sort of a Ross Chastain Jr. Hocevar will have a technical alliance with JRM in Xfinity, so that'll be helpful as well. Hocevar to JRM in 2024 could be. Depends on what they do with Josh Berry, or is if one of those other guys are moving up or something like that. Bumblebee says, "What's up, DeMar Barnum?" T-Van says, "I think Hocevar is a decent driver. I give him props for driving with his broken leg last season." Yeah, that was pretty tough on his part. Not necessarily the smartest thing to do, but I understand where he's coming from. Can you speak to Daniel Suarez's top 3 and top 10s, please? I can speak to that. Daniel Suarez is off to a really good start, and Trackhouse has 2 cars in the top 5 in points. Nobody's really talking about that, but they have. That's sort of a sneaky good accomplishment. That can't be overlooked. So Trackhouse, a lot of people were like they're a one-year wonder. They're proving that last year was not a fluke. They're here to stay and here to do some big things. And Daniel Suarez is part of that. And it looks like Daniel Suarez has amped up his aggressiveness this season as well. If you've watched him drive recently. Bumblebee says, "I like Hocevar, but he is a bit wild, LOL. He reminds me of Ross Chastain, the way he drives quite a lot, especially early Chastain in the Truck Series where he was all over the place and just throwing and sliding. He looked like he was driving a dirt car and everybody else was in a asphalt car, or asphalt truck, I should say, in that series." Jamie Schweitzer says, "I asked who would finish last, never considering it may have been my driver, Joey." I'm not going to lie to you, Jamie. When I saw Joey Logano finish last, you're the first person I thought of because you asked that question. I was like, oh, man, that's rough. And also the way he finished last, he literally just spun out and suspension parts broke. So I don't know. I'm not a big fan of that. Let's see here. Rich L, that's true, BB, but the other 3 were fast a few years back. Just something I've noticed. Yeah, that could be. I understand what you're getting at there. Yeah, it just depends on sort of whatever is going on within the setups and stuff like that too. Like it's always going to be rotating from year to year who's fast and who's not. Mark Barnum says IndyCars were playing Leapfrog last weekend. Oh yeah, those were some crazy wrecks in IndyCar. I did catch some of the clips. Obviously, I was streaming while the race was going on, but I don't know. OJ and Toothpaste says, "Who is Jordan Taylor?" I don't know, but he looks really, really close to that Rodney Sandcastle guy, or whatever his Rodney Sandstorm, whatever that guy's name is. They look very similar. And as of course we know, Rodney Sandstorm, 13-time champion in every division of IMSA and NASCAR and F1 and whatever Rodney Sandstorm has driven in. Jamie Schweitzer says, "I must say it's 100% Joey's doing, finishing last." Yeah, I mean, I don't know. He was sort of on the outside. They were going 3 wide. Typically back in the day, it was a rule of thumb. If you're going 3 wide, the guy in the middle checks up. But unfortunately, in this situation, you were going 3 wide and you had 3 guys that never check up ever. And if you're on the outside, just laws of physics, centrifugal force is pushing cars toward the outside. So maybe from here on out, maybe when you go 3 wide, maybe the guy on the outside should start letting off because physics and whatnot, you know. Molten Ray says, out of all the tracks, I'm worried for Bristol. For him, like I said, your Twitter DMs, I don't know if he's ready for Xfinity Bristol night race. It's trucks where you have to have your talents on. Yeah, Xfinity drives with a lot more respect than the Truck Series does right now, so I'm not really necessarily worried about that. As long as he doesn't get into people, I think people will race him the way he races them. OJ, he's an IMSA sports car driver, says Bumblebee. Let's see here. Yeah, he also was a Cadillac driver for a long time, and he drove the Corvettes a few times as well. Let's see here. A Napa Racing fan says Alex Bowman and Daniel Suarez are the only Cup Series driver to have top 10 in all 3 races this year so far. So there you go. There's your fun fact for the day. That's pretty cool. Like how much horsepower does the trucks and Xfinity cars have? No clue. I have no clue. I know the Ilmore engines are in the truck series, so all the trucks have the exact same engine. I'm not exactly sure how much power the Xfinity cars are making, but I do think it's more than the Cup cars, if I had to guess. Let's see here. Jordan Taylor is an IMSA driver, sports car driver that drives for Corvette Racing, the number 3. Says Napa Racing fan. OJ was trolling, by the way. Just so y'all know. All this hate on Hocevar, I think he'll surprise with a top 20, or at least I think he was trolling. I don't know. Let's see here. I don't know. Hocevar he's the definition of a kamikaze driver. He's either gonna finish top 5, or he is going to absolutely tear up the car. So he's a hard one to call. But I do like his talent a whole lot. Jordan Taylor is funny. I love he is getting shot. He'll throw Boris Said in that 9 car for a race. So there you go. Boris Said did come back last year. It wasn't in top notch equipment, but he did race last year. So that was pretty cool. But Jordan Taylor, he's definitely a character. He will fill in that Boris Said gap now that Boris Said might have been Boris's last race, and I hope not, though. Shaw says in Canada, we get 0 truck coverage. All I know is what I get secondhand online. Would love to follow the races and drivers. Yeah, so Carson Hocevar he's just a controversial figure because of the way he drives. He drives super aggressively, and he's also done some things like stopping on the track and things like that people hate. So he gets called out all the time by the guys at Door Bumper Clear because he stopped on the track one time, and now every time something goes wrong, they're sort of riding his butt for it. So it's sort of a thing between that group. But I think he's just a young guy. He's a 19-year-old or 20-year-old this year. He's going to do stuff like that. You just got to get it out of your system sometimes. Same thing with Ty Gibbs. He's young. He'll get it out of his system eventually. And sometimes they don't. That's a fair statement too. So, but these young drivers, they go through spells like this. So I don't hold stuff like that against them as long as they don't do it continually. Logano didn't just spin out. He got into the wall pretty hard, unless my memory is gone, says the Bandit. He might have. I just remember him spinning through the grass. I think when he got airborne, when the car went airborne and back down, I think that is when they probably broke the suspension. And he did get into the wall one time earlier in the race as well. Tacona 2 says, I want to see Anheuser-Busch sponsored Ross on the Bud Red 1 car. Yeah, that would be pretty cool. It seems, according to the rumors, he is the leading candidate to get that particular sponsorship. But Kyle Busch has thrown his name into the mix, so it's not said and done with yet. So is Jeffrey Earnhardt, by the way. Jordan Taylor drives to DP prototype cars. He's also raced for his father. 24 Hours Rolex is very popular. So, yeah, that's a fact. Wayne Taylor Racing, if you don't know, that's his father. Stephen D'Amelio with that one. Rich L, I thought Scott McLaughlin had that race won until he came out on cold tires. Yes, Scott McLaughlin didn't make a lot of friends that race, but I'm a big Scott McLaughlin supporter. Let's see. You can't beat physics no matter how good you are, says Shah. That's a fact. Does Cole Custer so mediocre in Las Vegas last week? I was genuinely appalled looking at how mediocre that car was. What did they do to it? I don't know. It was not a Ford weekend in Las Vegas. That's all I can tell you in any division. Rich L says, is there any truth in Larson racing in the IndyCar series? He got the okay from Hendrick to go do it. So now he just has to line up a ride. It won't happen this year. I think David Land, if you want good information on IndyCars, check out David Land. That's pretty much where I get all my IndyCar knowledge from. But yeah, it wouldn't happen this year. I think according to David Land, it would have to be next year because I think it's just too short of a time frame to get it done this year. But I definitely think something could get done next year. And also, don't discount Kyle Busch racing in one of those either, as he has expressed interest, and he's trying to get something going over there as well, even though it keeps falling apart for him. Travis Pastrana next race, says Evan Oslin. That's if Travis Pastrana wants to race again. He said he was going to be a one and done. Shaw said, saying he's a Sid head. There's a lot of Sid heads out there. Boris was the man. Let's see here. Larson driving the Indy 500 in 2024 and 2025. So there you go. 2024 and 2025. Looking like he's going to take two stabs at it. One wise guy, Boris, announced retirement at Sonoma, as far as I know. Okay, so he has announced that he's retired and walking away from it. Jordan Taylor was on the Dale Jr. podcast. Go check him out. If you don't know him, says T-Van. Yeah, I forgot he was on that one. So check that one out for sure. He also does some sketches over there at Dirty Mo Media. So if you've seen any of those weird like comedy sketches, that's Jordan Taylor. Sorry, late to the party. Slick Willie Byron. Let's go, says Say Kyle, not Cal. So yeah, old Willie B got it done. He dominated. Looked like Kyle Larson was going to out-strategize him until that last caution, but definitely the guy with the fastest car and the guy that dominated the race won the race. So take nothing away from William Byron, regardless of how you feel about the caution or anything like that, NASCAR's judgment calls or anything like that. I'm going to pick Bell to win this weekend and battle between Logano and Harvick for second place. That's pretty fair. This has typically been a Ford track. But Christopher Bell was fast there last year. But Joey Logano, just nobody. I watched it firsthand. Nobody had anything for Joey Logano. That was academic. And I even called it before the race started. I was like, looking at the numbers, Joey Logano is going to dominate this one. And for once, the numbers didn't lie. So I was right on that one. I agree. The last caution was thrown to create an entertaining finish, but I still enjoyed a Hendrick Motorsport 1-2-3 nonetheless. Napa Racing fan said, yeah. So that was cool. The team that had the best setup for that race still did get their 1-2-3, no matter how many cautions were thrown and things like that. And like I said, the guy with the best car that had the best race won the race. Kyle Larson couldn't steal it from him that time. Let's see here. Bumblebee said, even if Joey did hit the wall, that could not have ended his day. These cars are like toothpicks between the wheels. Yeah, the suspension for the car is an absolute tank. And then the suspension parts just seem to be like, I don't know, not as sturdy as the car. It's a weird dynamic. Just to be totally honest with you. Jamie Schweitzer with the super chat. Appreciate it, Jamie. Thank you for that. Virtual fist bump there. Let's see here. Kyle Larson Alonso and Taylor were also in Wayne Taylor when they won the Rolex 24 in 2019. Hey, so there you go. Fernando Alonso, I forgot he won one of those too as well. So has he won Le Mans? I think Alonso needs to go for Le Mans too. Le Mans. I watched the old ESPN race, and they still called it back then in the early 90s or late 80s. The 24 hours of Le Mans. So now that's stuck in my head. So I'm probably going to screw that up. I screw up words all the time. You guys are used to it, but I do my best. But yeah, Alonso needs to get the 24 hours Le Mans too, and I think he would have one of those. I forget what they call it. I forget what they call it in Europe, but it's essentially like a triple crown. OJ and Toothpaste says, do you think Scott Speed was a good driver in Cup? It's hard to say because when he was at Red Bull wasn't very good. Now, Red Bull had some years where they were good. He was also a young driver. I think we'll never know how good of a stock car driver Scott Speed was because he sort of got shuffled out, and then he became so good at Rallycross and stuff like that. We'll never really know how good he was as a stock car driver. So all I can do is put a question mark beside it because he didn't really have enough years to even develop as a regular type of driver anyway, and he wasn't with a very good team. So it's really hard to judge. But given the fact that he was a really good rally car driver, I think if he had stayed in Cup and had some decent chances, I think he could have at the very least been a legitimate average driver in the vein of a Austin Dillon or maybe an Eric Almirola type driver that would be very consistent and get you a win here and there. I think he definitely had, at very least, that type of potential. Molten Rage says, also, Spire, we need to talk about your 77. Sell that charter and give it the RCR or 2311 right now. At least those two could actually use it for proper use, not just catching a check, Spire, with the angry emoji face. Yes, I wouldn't even start with Spire. Like if we're gonna start throwing shade for teams that consistently underperform, I think that conversation has to begin and end with all of the Rick Ware racing cars, except for the 15. And the 15 is typically a car that is loaned out when it runs good. It's typically a car that's loaned out from Stuart Haas. So, as far as teams that have consistently been bad and never won anything, it has to start and end with Rick Ware Racing, because the 77 car has at least won a race. Spire at least does stay on the lead lap at some tracks and goes for wins. And we have seen Corey LaJoie run at least decently. So I understand what you're saying about the 77 car in particular, but I think before we get to the 77 car, we got to talk about every single car at Rick Ware Racing. That's just my take on it. And I like Rick Ware Racing. I want Rick Ware Racing to do well. Unfortunately, they just have not improved at all from year to year, unfortunately. So I guess I got to retire my white guy. Will Higgs says, Shaw. I don't know. The old Boris said, the set heads, you gotta retire the wig there. I don't know. Ross Chastain for the win this weekend for me. Says Napa Racing fan. I don't know. I got to look at Ross's numbers. He did. I don't know. You can't look at his numbers though, because he raced for all those bad teams for so long. So that's a tough one. That's a tough one to call there. I don't know. He was really good there last year, and Trackhouse has been good. So I do think that's a good pick. I don't want to pick 4 Chevys in a row though, but if that's what the numbers tell me to pick, that's what I'm going to pick. But I'm going to go ahead and, just remembering from my numbers last year, I'm going to go ahead and say Joey Logano still has the best numbers there. So I'm betting it's going to be a Penske day. So I'm going to go with Blaney, just off the top of my head. And this is not the official one, but I'm going to go with Blaney or Joey Logano off the top of my head. Ross Chastain's going to be solid there too, and I think Kyle Larson probably also has good numbers there. Doesn't Boris said own the company that makes the steering wheels for the cars? That's Max Pappas, Mad Max Pappas. He owns the MPR, Max Pappas Race. Yeah, MPR. MPR steering wheels. That's him. I actually got one on my car. I think Alonso won Le Mans twice in 2018 and 2019. So there you go. He's pulled off the Triple Crown or whatever that they talk about over there, because he's won. What is it, Le Mans? I don't think they really care about the 24 Hours of Daytona, but he's also won Monaco. He's won Monaco as well, if I'm not mistaken. So he's pretty close to getting it, I think. I like how you talk, BB. It's like spit up sling blade, says Shaw. I appreciate it. I'm not going to do the accent. I'm not going to do the sling blade voice. Napa Racing fan, Chase Elliott expected to miss 6 weeks. He would return to Talladega. So there you go. Looking like Talladega. So they've released it that it looks to be a 6-week deal. At least he'll return before the All-Star race. Well, that dashes all the Junior fans' hopes. They wanted to see Junior jump into the 9 car and race the All-Star race for him. Josh Strickland says, been working consistently. How did Josh look on the track in the 9? We don't know Josh, because he had a throttle issue. His throttle was sticking. So he looked bad, I'll tell you that. But it's because the throttle was sticking. They talked about it after the race. So he didn't get really a fair shot. He'll probably look a lot better this weekend, barring some mechanical failure. He'll probably look better this weekend at Phoenix after having 1 race under his belt with it. Rick Ware should sell their charters too, says Napa fan. Yeah, for sure. That would be the place I'd start with selling charters. Scott Speed could have been a good cup driver, says T-Van. I agree with that. I think he just needed more time there. Dislike, I would have read your message. I'm just now getting to it. I legitimately feel like Ty Dillon is a lost cause. He seems to have absolutely no drive whatsoever. Yeah, I think he's just in a bad place. Like a lot of driving a race car is confidence and stuff like that. And I think he's just in a bad place. If you want to see a really good video about that, check out Elite Precision's video. Elite Precision 29's video. He made a great video about Ty Dillon. And Ty Dillon's start to this season has actually backed up that video. And that video has done really well for him. So I would check that one out. Great video if you want to sort of jump into the Ty Dillon controversy there or whatever conversation, not necessarily controversy. Say Kyle, not Cal says, I feel like you can see Spire making baby steps while it seems like Rick Ware Racing doesn't do anything to pick up performance. I agree with that 100%. Ty Dillon would do better in Xfinity. Yeah, so that's something I wouldn't mind seeing him do. Like he kind of tried it one time. I would like to see him just step down and put together like a really good season, sort of like Daniel Hemrick has done. Daniel Hemrick's a good example of this. Daniel Hemrick went down and put together some good seasons, won a championship in Xfinity. He's building a name for himself back down there, trying to get another shot here at a Cup Series ride. Matt DiBenedetto's another one. John Hunter Nemechek's another one. So I would like to see Ty Dillon do something like that as well. Myself, Ross Chastain finished second in both Phoenix races last year, says Napa Racing Fan. Yeah, so there you go. I would pick him and Joey Logano, and my third pick would be Ryan Blaney, and my outside pick, I guess, would be I guess it wouldn't be a great outside pick, but Kyle Larson, because I know Kyle Larson's typically good there. If I'm remembering correctly, I don't have the numbers in front of me. I'm just going off the top of my head, so I could be totally way off as well. Ghostface says, howdy, y'all. What's up, Ghostface? Good to have you on here. Ran second in both, says Napa Racing Fan. Talking about Chastain again. I got you, man. Molten Rage, 2 engines expired this season. Okay, can we please explain what is going on with the 77? How can that happen back-to-back? Daytona and Auto Club. Then at Vegas, 77, not even close to the 7th pace as well. WTF? Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. You would expect he would have slightly better equipment because of who his granddad is, but that's not the case. Harvick will win and Ty Harvick for the win and Ty Dillon for last this week, says Mark Barnum. So yeah, Ty Dillon is he's the leading candidate for last place in races this year. Like Dislike says, Austin Hill starting the season off like he was shot out of a cannon. Yeah, so let's talk about Austin Hill for a minute. What a season that dude is having. Like, he is putting it on him. He's won 2 out of 3 races, and he is definitely saying, hey, I'm the man. The championship goes through me this year. He has come out with a lot of confidence, and now you're seeing why Richard Childress was considering buying an extra charter for Tyler Reddick, because as soon as Tyler Reddick left, they were going to put Austin Hill in that car. They were going to let Tyler Reddick build the team for a season and then stick Austin Hill in that car. I never thought that was a bluff. I thought Richard Childress was very serious about that, because he knows what he's got in Austin Hill coming up, and I think he's trying to find a place to put Austin Hill so none of these other teams can grab him. Shaw says, oh, come on, LOL. Them mustard biscuits, man. Get them mustard biscuits. So there you go. There's your Sling Blade accent, Shaw. Bumblebee says, let's see here. I'm gonna get I'm gonna get roasted for that. I wouldn't want to come back at Talladega if I was Chase. LOL. Yeah, that would be the last place I'd want to come back as well. If I was him, I would be like, oh, it's not quite right. We'll wait till after that race, because he could immediately be out for the rest of the season if he gets in another wreck. So even if that was my first race back, I'd be like, oh, my leg's acting up. We'll just wait one more race before I jump in that thing. Jamie Sparcher says, which is the next Cup race Jimmy Johnson plans on competing in? I don't know. I still think he hasn't released a actual schedule yet. To all the Danica Patrick haters, Sunday was her best performance. She never had to settle a. Oh wow, spicy! That is spicy. To my knowledge, that was not his fault though. So I'll say that person, unfortunate situation as it was, I don't think that was Clint's fault. But yeah, Danica did a better job than a lot of people gave her credit for. Delmar Kaufman says Petty GMS ran better than Legacy. Yeah, Legacy's off to a terrible start this year too. They have none of the speed that they ended the season with last year. Ty Dillon would have been a better career driving an ice cream truck, says Smart Barnum, OJ and Toothpaste. Ty Dillon might win COTA this year though. Yep. Anything can happen. I'm not going to put it out of the realm of possibility. Let's see here. What about the Hendrick teams getting the top 3 spots? Happy Tuesday, buddy. Hope all is good and keep it up. Yeah, the top 3 for Hendrick is not getting talked about a ton, I guess, or at least I haven't seen it. I've been busy this week, so I haven't seen a whole heck of a lot anyway. But that top 3 is kind of a big deal. I guess it's not as big a deal because you see it on super speedways, but to do it at a track that's not a super speedway, that's pretty cool. Austin Hill, wow, says Josh Strickland. Yeah, Austin Hill he's having a year for the ages so far. Maybe Ty Dillon doesn't know how to shift, says Shaw. Hey, he doesn't have to shift in this car. You just bump it up and bump it down. Glenn Park says, I think Josh Berry will do a really good job at Phoenix, and he will finish way better than 29th. He's got talent, and that seems to be better on flat tracks as opposed to mile and a half. Yeah, I agree with that. Plus, he was having the throttle stick too, so it wasn't a fair assessment of what he can actually do in these cars. Let's see here. Thoughts on Deegan so far? Solid talking, and worst luck driver in NASCAR history for lacking talent to stay up front and stay away from trouble, says Say Kyle, not Cal. So, yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head with that one. She has got to work on her restarts. If she could work on her restarts and maintain her track position, she wouldn't keep fading back there with the drivers that drive like knuckleheads. So, she really needs to put a lot of emphasis on her restarts. And if she can get her restarts under control, I think you'll see a vastly improved race car driver. So looking at her analytically, yes, she gets run over. She got run over by John Hunter Nemechek. There's no doubt about that. But she never should have been back there to begin with, because she needs to work on her restarts. That would be, if I'm looking at her as a driver's coach, we're working on nothing but restarts for the next month. Napa Racing Fan says, I like that you pointed out Reddick and Pastrana are tied in points in your video. Reddick ran 3 races, Pastrana ran 1. Yeah, so it was just one of those wild things. I forgot who tweeted that out. It might have been Nate Ryan or somebody, but whoever tweeted it out, that's where I got that from. And I was like, "There's no way that's true." Then I looked it up, and I was like, "That is true." So I did have to point that out. Laughing my butt off. I was hoping for the mustard, says Shaw, talking about my terrible sling blade accent. Molten Rage says, heck, the 77 has been worse than the 15 and 78 on raw speed this year. It's been a bad year for the 77. I'll give you that. I don't know what to think about this car. This team, the 77, is guilty as the 51 on abusing charters just to get a paycheck. That's a fair statement. No doubt about it. Tony Stewart started at Talladega, and someone fill in his final season, I believe. Chase Elliott could do the same. Yeah, that's a good comparison. I couldn't think of the word. That's a good comparison. That's a very similar situation. Haley needs to be more aggressive on restarts. She hangs back from the car in front of her. Yeah, that's a big part of it. She needs to get in a go-kart and make it like a go-kart start. Like, she needs to be on that back bumper and just get ready to push them and whatever happens. I have an aunt like Danica. I just kind of tune them out when they talk, says Shaw. Y'all have a good one. I got to take care of a few things. Catch y'all on Sunday. Appreciate you hanging out with us, Rich, as always. We'll check you on Sunday as well. Roush ran top 3 or 4 times in 2005 within 2 months. Yeah, so like I've been saying, Roush showed speed at the end of last year, and they still have speed this year. So don't sleep on Roush Racing. They're with RCR as sort of renaissance teams that have come back, risen like a phoenix from the ashes, or whatever you want to call it. I think he was referring to Stewart, not his former driver. Other guy in the booth. Yeah. I don't know. That's a tough call. I don't know. I'm not going to talk about either one of those, because I don't know. I have nothing to say about it. That's between them. Is Haley Deegan a lost cause, or is it just a lack of luck? She's got to work on her restarts. Napa Racing Fan. I think the talent is there. Now, I'm not saying she's going to be like, the next NASCAR Cup Series champion or anything like that. But I think there's enough talent there to become a decent race car driver at the Cup Series level. And I think she'll definitely be a better Xfinity driver than she'll ever be a truck driver. Her driving style suits cars better than it's going to suit trucks. But that being said, she's got to work on those restarts. That's the big glaring thing she's lacking right now. And it was on full display last race. So if she works on that she'll definitely be a vastly improved driver. Another thing, she's got to get used to running with drivers in the top 10. She's not used to that yet either, because she's used to running back in the pack. So she's got a learning curve. Steven says, remember I told you Danica said she would never comment on Ricky. The door was open. She said nothing during the race. The only thing she said regarding Ricky was he went two tenths quicker than the lap before. So there you go. She seems to not want to talk about that. So that's fair enough. Bo says, part of the reason Deegan would be better as Xfinity is the longer stages. The Truck Series is just one restart after another. That's a very good point. That's a very good analysis. I couldn't put it any better, and I've never really actually thought about that, but you're absolutely right. William Wagman says Haley Deegan needs to be more in control of the restart. She is going to be good this year. A lot better equipment than what she has been having. Yeah, that's 100%. She's definitely in a better truck, and nothing against Tricon, but she's in a better truck for sure. One good week is all it takes. 24 was behind Pastrana until Sunday. Now he's top 16. I wouldn't worry about Reddick. I'm not worried about Reddick. Reddick's definitely going to get a win. I am not worried about Tyler Reddick. I think Tyler Reddick has a chance to be the next absolute superstar in NASCAR. So me joking on Tyler Reddick, don't take that the wrong way. It's because I know he's going to get a win. I know he's going to be fine. No doubt about it. So I did rub some people the wrong way because I misspoke about 2311, but I'm not taking any shots at 2311 or Tyler Reddick or Bubba Wallace or anybody else that I don't know that people thought I was taking a shot at with the last video. Let's see here. Josh Strickland, what's your thoughts on the longer restart zone? It gives more of an advantage to the leader, so I do like it. So I do like it from that perspective. Because if you get the lead, you should have an advantage over the rest of the field. Hi, y'all from Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. Hope you're all doing well. What's up, Cassandra Keller? What's up, Idaho? Hope everybody's doing good up there. Let's see. The restart zone should be from the middle of the fourth turn to the start-finish line. So William Wagaman wants it even longer. I have no problem with it. But if you play games, it's going to result in wrecks. So I don't know. I knew it. I had the feeling Jordan Taylor would get to drive the 9 at COTA. Yeah, so that's going to be a pretty cool thing to watch. Restarts don't matter as much for Atlanta, but they will at COTA for Deegan and trucks. And I think she'll actually be better in trucks on the road courses. That'll be one area where I think she can actually shine because she is a pretty good road course driver from what I saw at Daytona. I agree Deegan should be better in Xfinity. In my opinion, she would benefit more from off-season racing as well. Yeah, that's fair enough. She needs to get in some off-season racing where she has to do a lot of restarts too, because I can't emphasize this enough. You can't give up track position on restarts the way she was doing it. Ty Dillon needs to do what Coy Gibbs did, take a step back to run RCR after Richard retired. That's a fair assessment too. That could be another route he goes. The 7 is in the top 10, top 15, 20, showing impressive speed, contending with the big dogs. 77 is stuck in 36 with no speed, getting lapped. You're better than this. How this happened? How did this happen, Spire? Yeah, I don't know. And I can't put all of it on Ty Dillon because 2 of those times were blown engines, right? So we can sit here and say Ty Dillon needs to retire and this, that, and the other thing. There's not a lot he can do when he blew 2 engines. So part of it is how they're setting up the car as well. I don't care if Danica doesn't want to talk about her former relationship, but if she's going to be in the booth, she needs to put feelings aside and talk about him when necessary. I mean, yeah, that's a fair point too. You can't just totally ignore him, like if he's going making moves on the racetrack and things like that. Yeah, so that's a fair point too. What I meant, I don't have a problem with her not talking about him. Is I don't have a problem with her not talking about the relationship or anything like that. Jermaine, what's up, man? I'm sure you touched on this subject before. But what do you think about the Hail Melon, aka riding the wall, being banned? From a safety, like they're gonna beat my feelings with the safety aspect of it. So the safety aspect of it is going to outweigh me thinking how really awesome that was. So they're just going to win out with that. But at the same time, I'm bummed out that they banned it. But it is the safest thing to do. So I hate that they outlawed it, but it is probably for the best of the sport. But I also don't think it ever would have been a really big deal because I don't think that many people would have actually gone up there and tried it. So at least we got to see it one time. I guess that's all I can say about it. And I guess it is safer to not have it in the sport, but it also sucks that it's not in the sport, in my opinion. Like says, should there be caution flags on the white flag lap at bigger tracks? Here's the deal. I don't care what they do as long as they're consistent. If you're going to throw the caution flag quick, throw the caution flag quick every single time. Don't just do it for entertainment purposes. So yeah, I don't care what they do as long as it's consistent. Do you think Stenhouse cheated on Danica and that's why they broke up? I don't know. It was a bad situation because she was married at the time. So either way, it was just a bad deal, in my opinion. And that's all. I typically don't talk about stuff like that, but either way, it was just a bad deal. That's the wrong lawsuit talking about a sprint car driver. Watch it live take place. Says free to pay, free. Yeah, I mean, we've all seen the footage of it. You can draw your own conclusions from it. So it is what it is. At the end of the day, I'm not going to change anybody's opinion about what happened. So, I mean, at the end of the day, it's over a decade old. So I think everybody's made their mind up about it. Mark Barnum says, thing about trucks, it seems like it's hold it wide open and pray. Yeah, like you just got to manhandle those trucks for whatever reason. T-Van says Reddick will figure out his new team. That's for sure. Unfortunately, it's a Toyota, says T-Van. Yeah. Tyler Reddick is going to be totally fine over there. But it is funny that he has just now caught Travis Pastrana, his teammate Travis Pastrana, in points. And after 3 races, and Pastrana's only had 1. But he will get a win. He's gonna be in there somewhere. Jamie Schweitzer says, "Must have upset you. You're not reading my comments." No, I'm just not scrolling up and losing all these comments. I'm just letting them flow now. So I've just missed your comments. I'm not upset at anybody. I've just missed your comments. So if you just retype it again down at the bottom, I will get to them. I'm not avoiding anybody. I'm just I can't keep up with them as fast as I used to because we just have more people than we used to have. But I'm doing my best to keep up with them. So I'm not ignoring anybody. I'm trying to just stay on pace here. Austin Dillon isn't going anywhere. Hill will come up the cup with added charter, says Napa fan. Yeah, I think RCR is going to add a charter as well to get Austin Hill up there. And that's one of the teams they're not really talking about adding a charter because they think RCR was bluffing last year. But I think RCR is very serious about adding a charter. Everyone would have a Monday meltdown if it happened, but can you imagine the spectacle of having every car run the wall the last lap at Martinsville? That would be hilarious. That would be pretty funny. And if they all did it at the same time, they would all get the same penalty and they would all finish wherever they just finished, right? Cup needs a hard and soft tire option and mandate the running of both, says Dakota Henderson. I think so. I would like a tire option as well. But I don't know. They're having a problem with the one tire they got now. The Hell Melon was tried by many drivers at different tracks. Chastain was the only one to make it work. Larson and Edwards come to mind as well. So there you go. That's a fair statement too. What's going on with Clint and Ross? I don't know. I don't think they got anything going on. I think they're just having fun with each other. Who do you think is going to be the next big thing in Cup? Oh, that's a good question. I like Austin Hill right now. He seems to be doing good. If you're talking about who's already not in Cup, I like Austin Hill probably as the best driver that I would pick right now. Josh Berry would have to be on that list as well. Rowdy fan for life says Jenna Allison. So there you go. He's off to a good start this season. Hey, Baloney, how's it going? Snowing again here in Nova Scotia. It seems like it's always snowing. Hope you good luck to you guys up there in Nova Scotia, Danny. Moulton says also kind of need to say something. What do people think Carson was going to get to the Cup Series ride is the wrong way to let him get Xfinity starts before going to Cup. So yeah, a few Xfinity starts will definitely help him out before he gets to Cup, I think. Quiet Cat says you're a legend. Keep doing what you do. I appreciate it, Quiet Cat. I don't know if I'm a legend, but I'm definitely going to keep doing the deal here. Jamie Schweitzer says I think Joe Gibbs will sell Denny the charter for the 11 and allow him to switch to 2311 so he can downsize. Well, that would be a play. That would be a good play because then you could keep a really tight alliance and you would have somebody to help you run both of those teams, which I think the biggest factor that Joe Gibbs needs to replace talent-wise is he's lost 2 sons that used to run that company, so he's got some big shoes to fill there. So that's going to be the big sort of off-season move. Who does Joe Gibbs Racing put in place in those areas over there? Danny Price. So I watched the last Yellow at Vegas. NASCAR, the WWE of racing, or as they say, as they want to say it, sports entertainment. Yeah, I mean, they threw it so quick. Like it might have been a caution, it might not have been a caution, but they threw it so quick. It was very obvious. They just wanted that green, white checkered. And that's all I was saying. Just be consistent with the cautions. If you're going to throw them quick, throw them quick, throw them slow, throw them slow. Am I the only one who thinks that Boyer is just a bust as a commentator? He's a great as a pit guy, but he's just trying too hard. Like that's a fair statement. I think he is trying too hard. I would say that too. If he could relax and get into a rhythm, I think he would be a totally different guy out there in the booth. Did you see Ross Chastain help remove the wall at Martinsville where the Hell Melon took place? I didn't see that, but that's pretty cool. Low pro tire was not made to run on an oval, says Mark Barnum. That's a fair statement too. At least they haven't had a whole bunch of tire issues this year, so hopefully they figured it out. Glen Park, my thoughts are charters need to be for teams that are competitive. No offense, but the underfunded teams, but there should be a field of cars that are competitive for wins. And here's where I get with the charters. If you're an Xfinity team, you should be allowed to buy charters and run Xfinity. And if a Cup team doesn't perform well, let's say the last 2 or 3 Cup teams, just by Cup owner number, I guess is how you would have to do it. They would get relegated to the Xfinity Series, and the 3 Xfinity Series teams that wanted to move up could move up. And you don't have to have a charter to run Xfinity. It would just be the highest 3 Xfinity Series teams in owners' points would have the option of moving up if they had a charter. So I think that would be the best way to do it. That way you couldn't have teams just running around there and collecting a paycheck. Ryan Perez says Austin Hill finished 18th at his Cup debut in Michigan, and that's if you keep charters, which you know they're going to do. So I can't trust Goodyear to make 2 tires. They can't even make one good one, says Joseph Wooten. Austin Hill finished 18th in his Cup debut at Michigan, which is pretty good for a rookie in a next gen. Yeah, that's very solid for a rookie in a next gen, no doubt about it. I think he's going to be really good. And I think RCR does splurge for that extra charter just to get him in there. Good evening, Bergmeister. Oh, missed that one. And everyone else says, Mike George, I heard Denny wants to retire with JGR. Yeah, he wants to retire with JGR and FedEx on the car in some capacity. What Josh Berry is to Dale Jr. is what Colton Herta is to Michael Andretti. They're just decent drivers, hyped a little too much from their owners. I mean, that could be. They are friends. Please do not start doing different tires again. Goodyear and Hoosier. We're not talking about Goodyear and Hoosier. We're talking about different compounds. Like they would all be Goodyear. There would be a hard compound, a medium compound, and a soft compound. Sorry for the ambiguity of that, but we're talking sort of an F1 deal where one manufacturer makes all the tires, but you have a harder compound, a medium compound, and a softer compound. Let's see. Will Phoenix race be better on Sunday with the changes to the package? I'm hoping it is. I'm going to be optimistic about it. So the drivers seem to be happy with the package that they tested there. So hopefully y'all drop some likes and support us looking good mods like me and Rich L and support Baloney Burger because he always works hard to keep us in the loop. I appreciate it, Bumblebee. So yeah, if y'all want to hit that like button, it would be much appreciated. But you don't have to. Don't feel pressured. Molten Rage, Spire Motorsport is the only organization to be fielding an entry in all 3 of NASCAR's top 3 divisions in 2023. Yeah, I feel like Spire has ambitions to do big things. If they pull it off, who knows? But they seem to be improving every season. The last time an organization fielded an entry in all 3 series was Rick Ware in 2017. So there you go. Not huge shoes to fill as far as that goes. Kevin H will help Fox, says Josh Strickland. Yeah, so Harvick he'll put some he'll inject some energy into that booth, I think, as well. Glenn Park says starting parks are a joke to me. They basically just take up room for teams that could enter competitive cars, opposed to low budget teams who can barely qualify. It just doesn't make any sense. Yeah, so from that perspective, a relegation, use the charters as a relegation thing. I think it would totally make sense. That way you couldn't just go out there and collect a paycheck. Boyer seems like he is vying to be the newer version of Mikey Waltrip as a Fox Sports personality, says Jamie Schweitzer. That's a fair thing. I think he's trying to be a version of Clint Boyer that he thinks people want to see instead of just going up there and sort of being himself. That's sort of how I feel about it. Napa Racing fan Kevin Harvick Raceway this weekend. I'd look out for him to contend for the win. I mean, so that is definitely a fair point. Kevin Harvick is pretty much the man at Phoenix, so we can't leave him out. 9 wins at Phoenix for his career. Yeah, no doubt about it. You can't leave him out. I'm just talking about in this new car era, generation, or whatever. Those are the numbers I was reading off or trying to remember. Mark Barnum, EB, put your image on the like button, and everyone will be liking it. LOL, says Mark Barnum. I have bought vehicles with Goodyear tires, and first I do is trade them in for BF Goodwrench, preferably. Says Shaw. So there you go. He's a BF Goodrich man. I got Potenzas on mine and Firestones on the other one. I do have Goodyears on the Silverado. That's what they came with there. Mark might have to. LOL, says Bumblebee. So there you go. Cassandra Keller, thank you, Bumblebee, and hello. Clint does seem like he's maturing and coming into his own as a commentator. Yeah, like if he can just relax and get into his groove, he'll be a better commentator. But sometimes he feels like he's forcing it and trying a little too hard. The different compounds works in F1 because they don't pit for fuel. Yeah, that's a fair statement too. Say Kyle says, I'm sure 2311 and RCR would love a third charter, but where would it come from? Doesn't seem like anyone is selling. And Rick Ware Racing is determined to have a charter to finish last every week. So the big rumor is NASCAR obviously can take away a charter if a team hasn't hasn't performed in 3 years or something like that, if you continually finish in the 30s after 3 years, NASCAR can take the charter away. So that's one charter that people are sort of speculating and pointing to. The other charter, before they won the Daytona 500, was the JTG Doherty charter. A lot of people were saying that that one is for sale for the right price. And Spire, a lot of people keep talking about Spire. You could buy in, like Spire is not going to sell out, but you could buy into Spire. So it could be like Spire with RCR. Mostly people were talking about Dale Jr. It would be Junior Motorsports with Spire, sort of like with Felix Sabatis or something like that, or a Stuart Haas Racing situation. So that's what a lot of people have been talking about as far as looking for charters and where those charters would come from. Mr. Pearson says thumbs up on the like button. I appreciate it, Mr. Pearson. Boyer censoring himself is kind of sad, and others always making fun of him. Yeah, he's not for everybody. He's sort of in Rutledge Wood territory as far as that goes. Napa fan says Harvick hasn't won since the reconfiguration. I still don't like the reconfiguration. 2016 gave us the best Phoenix finish ever with Harvick and Edwards. So there you go. All I can tell you is reconfiguration or not, that is one of the nicest racetracks I've ever been to. And one day, hopefully, before I leave this planet, I will finish making the Phoenix Racing vlog. What comes first, the end of Game of Thrones or that Phoenix Racing vlog? I don't know. Josh Strickland, I think Spire is trying to catch up with just not riding for a paycheck. I just noticed your shirt, says Josh. Yeah, I got the old Yugo. I think we're like 800 away from the Fiat Yugo project. But I think Spire is trying to improve as well. Sometimes they just turn out like a wet fart, no good piece in the 23 in 2023, says Danny Moore. That's the way it goes. Toyo's on the front, Westbrook's on the back. Hey, there you go. Toyo tires. I've had good success with those. Bolton says Larson fans have been trying to cleanse Eric Almirola off the planet like Kyle Busch fans were trying to do. Daniel Suarez, I feel so bad because it was not intentional by Eric Almirola. I got nothing against Eric Almirola. Like Kyle Larson didn't even have the fastest car. I just hated that NASCAR is not consistent with their cautions, right? I'm not blaming a driver or anything like that. So if you're throwing shade at Eric Almirola, don't do that. That's lame. It was not his call to throw that caution. And whether it should have been a caution or not, that's still NASCAR's call. So throw all the shade at NASCAR. Leave Eric Almirola alone. Let's see here. Jamie Schweitzer, Rick Hendrick. Rick H.E. Drink thanked me for returning my shopping cart the other day, saying how he's been a car dealer for years. And his customers always complain about shopping carts damaging their cars. Hey, so there you go. Always put up your shopping carts because it damages cars. That's a fact. There's nothing worse than like driving through like a parking lot and you think you get a parking spot in a crowded parking space and there's a shopping cart there. And even if you want to get the spot, you got to stop your car, get out, move the shopping cart, and then park your car. So that is pretty aggravating. Let's see here. Dale Jr. with JRM should be in Cup with Josh Berry as their full-time driver, says Napa fan. I think they could go up there with Josh Berry and Martin Truex, and I think they would have a solid combination there, a veteran and a rookie. Moody has mentioned that the last place charters swap their charters with each other, so they never finish low enough consistently to get their charters pulled. It's bull sausage. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, regardless of them doing that, if we had a relegation where they get relegated to the Xfinity Series and the good Xfinity Series teams get moved up, I feel like that would be the fairest way to do it. Rick Hendrick, I meant to say, says Jamie Schweitzer. Yeah, I figured it out midway through, but I didn't want to go back up and restart it. But yeah, Rick Hendrick told him that, so that's pretty cool. Rick is a pretty nice guy if you ever meet him. Allegedly. Dakota Henderson, what's up with the Texas configuration? Seems like that's not talked about anymore. I think people are just waiting to see what happens with it. I guess you can't really talk bad about it until you see how it races. Maybe you got to go to Kansas too. It's like Phoenix for amenities. I do want to get out to Kansas. A lot of people have told me I need to go to Kansas, so I need to put that one on my list as well. Shaw says JRM for Cup. I think Dale would do it, but his sister crunches the numbers and makes the business calls, in my opinion. I can confirm that she makes all of the business calls and decisions from people within the industry. that work at the late model level, and I'll leave it at that. That one I can confirm. She does make all the business calls. He's more of a PR. He's more on the PR side of it. I'll say that. I can say that that is a fact. You don't even have to say that's your opinion. I can confirm that that is a fact. I have seen the emails. Camaro 50 says Kyle Busch made the truck race look easy, but he didn't have the speed in Xfinity or Cup, says Camaro 50. And before anybody asks why I've seen the emails, it's because I have a YouTube channel. I'm like, hey, you want to see this? And they'll show me the emails. And I'm like, okay. I mean, I don't know what I can do with that. I'm not going to talk about it on my channel because that would be, that wouldn't be cool. But so there you go. Worst caution in NASCAR history will forever be the last lap of the 2022 All-Star race at Texas. Ricky Stenhouse hit the wall and no one was near him. Yeah, so that was a classic Ricky Stenhouse moment. I do remember that now that you bring it up. Corey LaJoie has been running better this year than previous years. I like that guy. I think he's good for the sport. Yeah, he's got a great personality. He's definitely good for the sport, and I'm glad to see him having some success. I think NASCAR needs to limit teams to only 3 charters. It would free up some extra charters if they did that. And they also, as long as they let those teams like Trackhouse and that continue to run their extra cars as well. Sven Larson says he's going to Atlanta. I want to get to Atlanta too. So if I can get a chance, if it depends on how everything lines up, I would like to go to one of the Atlanta races as well. Greg Woodcock says, have you seen or heard anything about a cat being run over at Fontana? I saw that, but you know how those images are. I don't know if it's real or if it was a doctored image, but I have seen some images on Instagram. Moulton says it wasn't even the 10's fault. Larson fans, if you look back, the 51, that's a fact. The 51 was what caused that wreck. So yeah, I will confirm what Moulton is saying there. Hypothetically, if you could sign any 4 drivers to your Cup team, who are you signing? Kyle Larson, Chase Elliott, Joey Logano, and I'm gonna go with Ross Chastain. I think those are good. Those are a good solid 4 right there. That's a good solid mix. They're all fairly young, or at least in their early 30s, so they're not super old, any of them. So I think that would be a good combination of youth and experience and just badassery. To be totally honest, I like the way all those guys drive. Are you going to this year's? I would put Kyle Busch in there, but he's on the older side of 30, so I'm going with everybody that's in their peak. But if I could just if they were all peak drivers, obviously Kyle Busch would be in there too. So no disrespect to him. Not that he knows me and he's going to be like, why didn't you put me on that list? So he doesn't care. He doesn't watch this. Anyway, say Kyle, not Cal. Hendrick execs wrecked into my roommate years ago during Speed Weeks. She told them I was a fan and gave her an HMS dress shirt to give to me. LOL. Hey, that's pretty cool. Let's see here. Shaw says Dale Jr. is just a pretty face. LOL. I felt obligated to say that in my opinion. In my opinion. For legal reasons, you do have to say in my opinion. So that's always a good rule of thumb. T-Van says, I know Larson's car is a remembrance to Ricky, but would love to see Larson kind of have his own paint scheme. Yeah, I can see that. But what can you do? What can you do? Maybe once a year at Darlington, he can have his own paint scheme. I did like his paint scheme at Darlington the other year when he threw it back to his original dirt midget or whatever. Do you watch the races by yourself, or do you prefer to watch with friends and family? Says KM. I really don't care. I do it either way. I'm typically always with somebody, so we usually always go to the races as a group. But sometimes I go solo. Like I went to Arizona solo, but I didn't feel like I was solo because I was always I don't know. I bumped into people that knew the channel, and I sat with them and sort of just tried to seat hop to as many people as I could seat hop to. And I was hoping I could make it all the way back around, but I just never did. We just kept hopping seats. It was pretty cool. I met a lot of people there, and it was a cool deal. So even when I go by myself, I don't ever feel like I'm necessarily by myself and keep this mouth running. You're going to meet somebody. Let's see here. Josh Strickland says, good idea about last place stepping down to give other people a chance. Yeah, I feel like it's the fairest way. And I stole that idea from the Premier League in soccer. That's how they do their deal in soccer. I've always thought that was a really good idea. I really thought Texas was getting redid this year, says Dakota Henderson. I don't know if it's this year or if it's next year. I don't know. I've got to look back on that. But they are going to get reconfigured at some point. Dirty Mo spoke of the cat incident. It happened, says Jamie Schweitzer. That's unfortunate. I hate that. Man, I hate that. Shaw says Bush, Chastain, Logano, Gregson for my rookie. Okay, so if I had to put a rookie, if I actually had to put a rookie in there, I would put Gregson in there for my rookie out of the two rookie selections. Napa Racing Fan 927, will NASCAR return to the Nashville Fairgrounds in 2024 or 2025? Trucks, Xfinity, Cup should all be there. I think they return to the fairgrounds at some point. Xfinity should absolutely race at Wilkesboro this year. Yeah, I wish everybody was racing at Wilkesboro this year. Like they've gotten everything but Xfinity, it seems like. So that's unfortunate. Or is it trucks that's left out? Either one, whichever one they left out at Wilkesboro, that's unfortunate. Molten Rage says, I feel bad when I was listening to Eric's radio. He was having a top 15 run. He was mad about the 51 being a moving chicane out there getting in everyone's way for no reason. Yeah, that's a bummer, man. It's a bummer. Like, what can you do about it? Like, NASCAR has a minimum speed. Maybe they need to start enforcing that a little bit more strictly on cars. Like, not just picking on Rick Ware Racing, but, you know, if somebody's a moving roadblock, just black flag them and make them come in. What do you think of a NASCAR class at the 24 Hours of Daytona? I think NASCAR is working towards something like that. I don't think that they're doing this Garage 56 entry just for laughs. I think that there is a plan behind it for something in the future for a class. And I think at some point you could see a whole separate division of NASCAR or something like that. Reddick, Bowman, Chastain, and Bush, says T-Van. I like that lineup too. Tyler Reddick, he's waiting to break out at any point. Yeah, that's solid. I got no problem with any of those. Alex Bowman is super underrated. Ross Chastain, we know what he can do. And Kyle Busch, he's probably the best one out there right now, in my opinion. Stephen D'Amelio Jr. says, BB, if you get to Atlanta, get the suite. I'm telling you, you will not regret it. I did it for the very first time last year on Sunday. It was great. Also did it at Richmond and Martinsville. Atlanta was also once. Atlanta was the best one. Okay. Yes. Okay. I've done the suite at South Boston one time, so I'm gonna have to check that one out. No doubt about it. That sounds like a fun time. Like dislike. It's a shame. It's a shame Brandon Brown has not been able to race so far this season. Who would have thought winning is the worst thing that could happen to your career? Yeah, that's somebody definitely needs to make a documentary about that. Like that's golly. I still can't believe he got it. It's the craziest thing. Craziest thing. That's why I stay away from politics. It makes people crazy, man. Napa Racing Fan, I always wanted to see all four Hendrick drivers run a Corvette in the 24 Hours of Daytona. That would be pretty cool. Shaw says the hybrid engine fascinates me. So a lot of people have pointed out that on the registration sheet, it is listed as just a 5.7 or whatever the Cup Series engine is. So either they're just going to run the 5.7 or they're not ready to announce the hybrid engine yet. And that's the way I'm taking it. I think they just don't want to announce what type of hybrid engine it's going to be yet. And when they announce the engine, that's just going to be another press release to sort of keep this car in the news cycle. So a lot of people saying, oh, it's just going to be a Cup engine. It was supposed to be hybrid. I think it's going to be a hybrid engine. I think they just aren't ready to release it yet. I think there's a great chance for Josh Berry to test the waters and see what he could do in the future. Says Chris R. Yeah, I think so too. Shaw said, scares me, LOL. The hybrid engine scares you. I got you. Yeah, so, yeah, I mean, it could go either way. If you look at the hybrid engines in IMSA, I don't think it should scare you because they're really just really cool, in my opinion. And going back to the Josh Berry point, I think he's testing out the waters to see what he can do for Dale Jr. I think so too. Hey, oh yeah, and I see you're So to follow it up, yep, I'm agreeing with you. Test out, see what he can get. If Dale Jr. moves up to Cup. All-Star Weekend trucks at Bowman Gray with LA Coliseum format. Oh, that would be pretty cool. That would be pretty cool. I think the astronomical cost of the broadcast to the 2026 Olympics will promote NBC to forego NASCAR, and ESPN will replace their coverage. Well, there's precedent for that because ESPN has replaced. I learned this from an Iceberg video, by the way. So check out Iceberg's videos. But yeah, it would be the second time ESPN has replaced NBC, if that is the case. Speaking of which, JJ Reddick, he totally roasted Kendrick Perkins the other day on ESPN. I was surprised to see that. Do you think Ty Gibbs, and we're not going to talk about it here, but he totally roasted him. You can look it up for yourself. Do you think Ty Gibbs is having a reality check with his start to this season? I knew moving up the Cup was going to be tough because this car is just so different from the Xfinity Series car. But like I said, with both rookies, I would wait for halfway through the season before either one of them really starts showing what they can do. But yeah, it definitely has to be eye-opening. Oh, Camaro with the super chat. What's up, man? Appreciate it. Great stream tonight, BB. Good night overall. I appreciate it, Camaro. And glad you got the Camaro back on the road and running again as well. Let's see here. Larson fan also completely forget that it wasn't just Eric. There was a guy in front of him who was also struggling to get past the moving chicane. That is the 51, Josh Perry. The 51 was just slow. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. NASCAR needs to take the slow car policy a little more seriously as well. NBC has made NASCAR create an Olympic break in the past for summer games. Wouldn't be surprised if they stayed and did that again. Not just NASCAR. They made every sport do it. When I was on a race team running in IMAS, they had to qualify with a percentage of pole speed or go home. If you were slow, they would park you, says Danny Price. That's a good policy. I do like that policy. So maybe that's something NASCAR could do in the future. Chevy has a hybrid for years. I think they're just tweaking it. Yeah, that's true. They've had the hybrid in the Cadillac as well, so it shouldn't be like a big reach or stretch. Hybrid engines are awesome. Hopefully it's something like the F1 engine, says Dakota Henderson, where they can choose the settings. Oh God, don't give the drivers too much to do in there. They'd be going crazy. You remember when Kyle Larson was always raising and lowering the track bar back in the day, back when you had the mechanical or the electronic track bar adjustment? He was wearing that thing out. He was the only one that was actually burning up track bar motors back in the day. I remember that. Quiet Cat says JJ was on fire. Either Brett or Freddie, one of them tweeted the 51 did nothing wrong and ran that line all day. All the lead cars can ask for is consistent lines, and the 51 did that. It's on the 10 to get around. Okay, so that's another perspective. Obviously, from the view we got at home, we couldn't really see that as well. And Napa Racing fan with a thumbs up for Jay. Like, this is the first time a Duke player has ever gotten this much praise ever, I think. Usually Duke players are hated. Dislike. I used to work at Duke and I grew up in Durham, so I'm a Duke fan. So that's the only reason I brought that up. Dislike, none of my business. But if you don't mind asking, where do you get the majority of your diecast? Typically, either at the race shops or I just get them from Circle B or NASCAR.com. Sometimes just they're never on sale, but if anybody ever has a sale on them, that's typically where I get them. But if you ever take a trip to the race shops and you pick them up directly from the race shop, that's always your cheapest option. So I try to get my vast majority of them from there. That's why you see so many like RCR. And back in the day when Petty was aligned with RCR, they had a bunch of Petty stuff in there too. So that was like I loved going to RCR. Their stuff is way cheaper than you can buy it pretty much anywhere else. And Hendrick is the same way. I haven't been to 2311's a newer one, so I haven't been to that one. There's a couple. I haven't been to the new Roush Fenway one since they've gone to RFK. So there's some I need to get to. Obviously, I've never been to Trackhouse. That's a new one too. I watched Dale the movie on YouTube tonight. I would encourage everyone to watch it again. Yeah, that's definitely a good movie. They have ruined Bristol with that dirt, says Danny Moore. Yeah, I like concrete Bristol too. If they do a dirt race, it should be on dirt. Eldora should have been the dirt race, not Bristol, says Napa fan. Yeah, I think most people would agree with that. My boss has a hybrid Tahoe. It blew up at 50,000 miles, says Mark Barnum. Let's see here. Say Kyle Reddick was a savage today. JJ, that is. No doubt about it. Wolfpack fan here, sir. As long as it isn't the Tar Heels, says Chris R. Hey, so there you go. You're speaking my language there. It's a great day to be a Tar Heel after the sweep this weekend. All right, let me. I don't want to get into basketball. That's going to turn people off. Let's see here. Molten Ray says, speaking of a team that fell off a cliff after last season, in terms of speed, is what happened to Legacy Motor Club speed? They fell off fastest. Yeah, I agree with you, man. Like, I was expecting Legacy Motorsport to keep building on what they did toward the end of last year. And they have started off this season with an absolute dud. They were fast at Daytona. They have good plate cars or super speedway cars, but they have not looked good anywhere after that. And obviously they got in a wreck there, but the speed was there. I feel like NASCAR should target Honda. I think so too, KM. I never quite understood why they never joined NASCAR. So Honda and Dodge, in my opinion, are going to be the two that come into NASCAR if they can pull anybody, because you always see Honda commercials and you always see Dodge Ram truck commercials or Ram trucks. I know it's not Dodge anymore, Ram truck commercials, but it's Stellantis or whatever it's called now. You always see those commercials during the race. So I feel like those are the two that are most likely to come over. Dodge said that they're not coming yet, but I think Dodge is still interested, and I think Honda is definitely still interested. And it would not surprise me to see either one of them come into the Cup Series. For my future vacation to North Carolina and the Charlotte area, what race shops and museums are worth going to the most other than the NASCAR Hall of Fame? So you nailed it on the head. NASCAR Hall of Fame is definitely a must. It's going to depend on who you like, but as far as having like really cool stuff to look at, Hendrick Motorsports has a ton of. They basically have a museum, and this is outside of Charlotte. This is going to be Welcome, North Carolina, sort of going toward Winston-Salem. So I don't know if you're going to be able to make it. But second on that list would be RCR, because RCR, if you go to RCR, you got Colleague right beside it. So if you go to RCR, you're going to be visiting Colleague and RCR at the same shop, and they also have the RCR Museum where you get to see all of the old Dale Earnhardt stuff. But that one is going to be a little bit out of the way if you're visiting Charlotte. So it's going to be sort of up to your preference. I would go to Penske because you got to see Roger Penske's monstrosity of a race shop at least one time in your life. I think you need to go to Roush, RFK. They are all really close to each other. So if you really scheduled out your time and you have like 3 or 4 favorite teams, there is no doubt in my mind you could see every single one of them. And if you sort of made it a detour on your way back home, you could sort of go through to Welcome, North Carolina, and check out RCR, depending on like where you're coming from and how it works out and stuff like that. You could go to Welcome, North Carolina, and visit RCR, and that would be a cool one too. It's really gonna. I would say go to your favorite team first, and then go to Hendrick, RFK, and RCR if you can make the drive to RCR, but definitely Penske. So if you don't go to RCR, I would say reasonably Penske, Hendrick, and RFK would be the good ones to visit. If you're into F1, go visit Haas, but there's really not a lot to see at the Haas F1 headquarters. There's a few show cars there, but they do at least have like a F1 car if you want to see that. But it's impossible. It's just going to be sort of to your preference or taste. But RFK and Hendrick probably, as far as Charlotte goes, have the best museums. And I've never been to I should say I've never been to 2311, and I haven't been to Trackhouse. So I can't comment on either one of those. I feel like NASCAR should I just read that one. Let's see here. I want to see a big track with part dirt, part concrete, part asphalt, and a loop-de-loop. Don't forget a couple of sick jumps, and you got to have a joker cut out. They got to go through the joker at least once every 5th lap. And every time they go over the jumpy part, there's got to be pyrotechnics. Like we need full madness. We need full madness if NASCAR is going for entertainment here. Let's see here. KFB and RCR is a match made in heaven, says Quiet Cat. Yeah, no doubt about it. It's off to a fantastic start. I miss the days when cars would get provisional starts, and if the cars didn't run well, they would run out of provisionals, says T-Van. Those were the good old days. I missed it. That's when qualifying meant something. Bumblebee says a good dirt track NASCAR would be good. Would be Springfield Mile that ARCA runs on. So yeah, Springfield is definitely a good one. A lot of people have not brought that one up, but they already run there. They've already got experience with it. So Springfield would sort of be the perfect natural match for NASCAR to take the Cup cars to. Rick Ware Racing reply to my David Reagan and explain why he wasn't picked up this year. He just wanted to spend time with his family. Good for David Reagan. Also wasn't expecting Rick Ware Racing Twitter to respond to me. Hey, so there you go. Rick Ware Racing reaching out to you, letting you know. They're stand-up dudes. They just need to find some speed, and hopefully they do. And that's why I say I hate picking on teams, but they have not showed improvement. But I have nothing against Rick Ware Racing. I respect him getting out there and being in the arena at least, but hopefully they can figure something out and find some speed, sort of like Spire has improved. I would like to see that arc for Rick Ware Racing, because nobody wants to see Rick Ware Racing run bad. They want to see him run good. Like if Rick Ware Racing had started improving, I think it would take a lot of pressure off of him. Team Penske is right near KBM off the highway 150 north of Mooresville, says Jamie Schweitzer. So yeah, Mooresville is actually going to be where a lot of them are located as well. Going to RCR is on my bucket list, says Like Dislike. It's awesome. Bo Darville says Stapleton 42 has a good video about the RCR shop. Yeah, that's pretty cool too. So if you go to RCR, you should also work in daggum, what's it called? Richard Petty's shop is long something. I can't remember. I can't remember the name of it. But you can also visit the Richard Petty Museum because it's not super far away from RCR. So if you go the RCR route, you can visit the Petty Museum as well. Let's see here. KM, Stellantis cars are garbage. I feel bad for anyone who buys brand new Jeeps. LOL. Oh, well, you're fixing to see one, KM. You're fixing to see a Stellantis Fiat. So stay tuned. We're gonna see how reliable or unreliable they really are, because we're about to get the worst of the worst. We're about to get us a Fiat. Let's see. Dakota Henderson says, "Don't Honda have to V8 to be able to enter NASCAR?" I tried googling it, but no luck. I don't think so, because Toyota doesn't have a production V8 that's push rod. Like, they don't have a V8 that would fit the mold, because their only V8 is an overhead cam. So I don't think so. Shaw says, "Heck yeah, BB." Let's see here. Ryan Perez says, "If you want half dirt, half asphalt track, you can have the Daytona." Hey, there you go, the Daytona road course back in the day. Napa says, "I haven't seen any of Stapleton's videos yet, but there's a ton of interesting stuff there." Yeah, he's good, man. He's one of the best ones out here. Shaw says, Ryan Perez, that would be something. LOL. NASCAR should do a oval style street course somewhere. That would be pretty cool. They could do it on top of the Fiat testing facility. Fiat has basically a mini Martinsville on top of their roof, and that's where they test cars, or at least they did back in the day. Why are they pixelating the dashboard? Because teams were stealing water temperature information, which is the lamest excuse ever, but whatever. NASCAR is going to NASCAR. And the teams are going to teams. So Napa fan says, in my opinion, Rick Ware Racing would make better use in IndyCar. They've been fairly, of all the sports they go to, IMSA and IndyCar, they've had a lot more success than NASCAR. To hide info from other teams, says Shaw, talking to one wise guy. Napa Racing fan, NASCAR put all the resources in IndyCar. Like Dislike said, we need Days of Thunder too. Oh man, no doubt about it. Like that's something that's well overdue. I think Tom Cruise would sign on for that too. Bo Darville says Rick Ware should have plenty of times to be on Twitter while they're not trying to be fast. Oh man, scolding. Let's see here. Aaron Flynn says, when I was watching Dale, the movie, he was getting interviewed for winning the 500. He was directed to go into spin in the grass, and he did so and went and spun in the grass to get rid of the good stuff. Jamie Schweitzer says, I didn't mention you skipped my super chat question about 5 minutes ago. Oh, did I? Oh, crap. Oh, wow. Sorry about that, Jamie. Do you ever wear a Joey Logano hat on any of your videos? I do not have a Joey Logano hat. I used to have an old Joey Logano Home Depot hat, but I've moved so many times that I lost that one. I have not replaced it yet. And I haven't really bought since 2020. I haven't really bought a whole lot of new hats, because I always for the videos just wear a Kyle Larson hat. But I do have 2 Joey Logano t-shirts, 3, but I can fit in 2 of them. So we're working on it here. We're down 7 pounds, so we're eventually going to get into that old school Joey Logano t-shirt though. I've got 2 t-shirts but no hats. I used to have a hat, but I lost the hat. It was the black. It was just an all black Home Depot hat with the Home Depot square, and it had 20 on the side. And Joe Gibbs Racing Joe Gibbs Racing was either here or on the back. I can't remember. It's been quite a while. But yeah, I did have one. Sorry about that, dude. I did not see that one. I don't know how I lost that. Man, sorry, dude. But yeah, I did have one at one time. I also had just a basic orange one that said 20, but I bought that when Tony Stewart was racing, but it didn't have any Tony Stewart markings on it. So I used to wear that one too, but I've also lost that one. I also had a 38 Elliott Sadler in the same version. I wish I still had both of those hats as well. Sorry about that, Jamie. Let's see here. Danny Moore, I see Chevy winning. Well, they're off. That's a fair pick. They're off to a good start. In the shots from the 11, I didn't have a dash pixelated this week, hoping they've decided to stop it, and it just wasn't a mistake. I think it goes team by team. So it just depends on the team. Like I said, I don't think the Toyotas care about it. I think it's more of like a Chevy versus Ford thing right now. At least Days of Thunder was actually at Daytona, unlike Ford versus Ferrari. Yeah, that's a fair statement. But to be fair, most of Ford versus Ferrari was based around Daytona, so at least some of it was real-ish. And they did a lot of testing out there in California as well. KM said, "Is it weird? I'm excited to watch ARCA next week." No, not really. I mean, I don't know. I get excited to watch every race, no matter what it is. So it doesn't bother me. Shaw says Talladega Nights was Days of Thunder 2. They can barely make a decent sequel now. Top Gun 2 was good. So I forgot who said it back in the day, but Days of Thunder was actually Top Gun 2 before they made Top Gun 2. So Top Gun 2 was really Top Gun 3. But that's basically I forget who said that. But that's basically what they said. Napa Racing Fan says, "You never know what you'll get with ARCA. It could suck. It could be meh, or it could be a bunch of drivers wrecking each other at a short track." That's 100% right. Like it can go either way, sort of like a Truck Series race. 100%. Yeah, that's a fair point. Quiet Cat says, "The last time I was truly excited for ARCA was when Allgaier won the championship." I think the last time I really kept up with ARCA was when Frank Kimmel was dominating. So that's been a while. So I don't even remember Allgaier winning. That's how little I keep up with ARCA. But it was fun back in the day when Frank Kimmel was kicking butt. I don't know. Rick Hendrick wants Jimmy back. He used to send Larson to the moon. Jimmy Johnson will be in the 5 car this weekend because Kyle Larson is in space on the moon. It says Molten Rage. I don't know about that, buddy. If he gets rid of Kyle Larson, somebody will scoop him up. Stuart Haas Racing. Jamie says, "No worries, go Joey." Sorry about that, dude. I feel bad. I don't know how I missed it, but I did. I feel like a dummy. I am a dummy, but I feel like one also. Let's see here. T-Van says, "You ever make it to Indiana, BB? I'll give you a big tote of old NASCAR stuff." I've made it. So fun fact, my first ever race was the Indianapolis that I built a car for was the Indianapolis Speedway. We ran the road course, which goes the opposite direction of the oval track, and we finished 13th in that one. So my first race ever of a car that I built, not a race that I watched, but a race that I was involved in building the car or whatever. Basically an electric go-kart for an endurance electric series. Indianapolis Motor Speedway. So how about that? That was my first ever race. I got tons of pictures of it too. It was awesome. John Wick must be just gets better 4 times. Comes out 24, I think. Says Danny Moore. Yeah, like they keep making the same John Wick movie, but every time it was good. I remember Burt Reynolds starred in a NASCAR Stroker Race theme movie filmed in and around Charlotte. His sponsor was Chicken Shack. Clyde Torkel of the Chicken Pit, and Gomer Pyle was in it as Lugs Harvey, I think, and Burt Reynolds was Stroker Ace. The name of the movie is Stroker Ace, and Burt Reynolds was Stroker Ace, and I think it was Hightower from Police Academy. He was like he was one of the crew members, and then the jack broke, and he like lifts up the car by himself. Pretty cool movie. Like it got panned in theaters, but it's a racing classic. Well, now I learned something new. Top Gun 3, interesting, says Shaw. Yeah, that's what they always say. I can't remember what argument they were making with that. But Days of Thunder was technically Top Gun 2. Who wins the Cars race Saturday, BB, says Larry. Oh, man, I don't know. I'm partial now. So I'm hoping my man Landon Pemberton wins that race. But it's hard to bet against the junior cars. So I'd have to go with Voppel there. I don't know. Lee Pulliam's always got some good guys too. Marcus Richmond with the RNS cars, they're always good there, so you can never count out Bobby McCarty. I don't know. I'm pulling for Landon Pimpleton though. So that's who I'm pulling for. So I'll say him. Bobby McCarty or Carson Voppel would be my other picks there. Let's see here. Say Kyle, Stroker Ace, Jamie says Mark Barnum. Say Kyle says, obviously way too early, but any big name teams you're worried about not making the playoffs based on speed or performance so far? I mean, I'm not really worried about Tyler Reddick, but if he doesn't get a win, he's dug himself a hole. But I'm not worried about him because I think he'll get a win. I think he'll get multiple wins. I don't know. Blaney, the Penske for whatever reason doesn't look fast right now. So I'm kind of worried about Penske, but it's Penske, so I know they'll figure it out. Penske would be the only big team I'm worried about because they're not as fast as I'm used to them being. So I would have a few concerns about Penske, but they're Penske, so I know they're going to figure it out. So it feels stupid saying that, but they haven't been the Penske I'm used to seeing. Joe Gibbs Racing looks good. 2311 looks good. RCR is definitely obviously showing what they can do. Hendrick is not missed a beat, but Penske for whatever reason is not looking good. Stewart-Haas Racing has struggled for several seasons, so I can't say that's a surprise that Kevin Harvick is the only one looking good consistently for Stewart-Haas Racing. So I would have to say Penske would be the only one that concerns me just a little bit because the rest of them have at least showed speed. Penske looks like it can qualify, but it looks like for whatever reason it's not handling the dirty air very well. But I don't know. I don't know. It's Penske. They're going to figure it out. So it feels stupid saying that. I don't know. So should Deegan fans start to prepare for disappointment again, says KM? If she can't figure out how to do restarts, I would say so, unfortunately. Shaw says Lonnie Anderson. So Shaw, big Lonnie Anderson fan. And I'll leave it at that. Never mind. Hendrick brought Larson back from the moon. He's putting Larson in the 9 car. Josh Berry got punted and kicked to the moon. Do not question what Rick is doing over there to his drivers, says Moulton. Steven says Danny had his pixelated when he was qualifying during the race. It was not. You could see the dash. So maybe it's just for qualifying. They don't want to see what temperature they have the engine for qualifying. Maybe that's the issue. I'll have to make BB a Clyde Torkel to race in on the short tracks. So fun fact, I'll try to find the pictures of it, but Craig Moore, the guy I work for, we ran the throwback. I don't have the door. He ran the Stroker Race throwback at Hickory. If you've ever watched the Dale Earnhardt download episode with Dave Marcus, he's talking about the throwback race they had at Hickory. And when you see the 71 car pass a red car, that red car is us, and they refer to us as the other guy. They couldn't even say Craig Moore the one time we're on the Dale Jr. download. But the other guy is Craig Moore, and the car they're passing there is a throwback to Stroker Ace. So we ran that car, and for that race, trying to win the most unique paint scheme, because they vote on paint schemes, Craig Moore wore the chicken suit. If I can find some pictures of that, I'll show them to you. But the really cool thing about it was Mike Joy was at that race. And Mike Joy liked our car, so he came down and talked to us about how much he liked the car. And Mike Joy is a super nice dude in person. And this is before I had the YouTube channel or anything like that. So that was really cool. But yeah, we do have the chicken suit, and somewhere in here, I've got a chicken pit T-shirt that we wore. I'll try to wear that if I remember it. I'll try to wear that on the video I make tomorrow morning or tonight. So yeah, big Stroker Race fans over here at Craig Moore Racing. Shy says, LOL, laughing at Bumblebee. And the chicken suit, by the way, was from a local Bojangles. So that's where we got the chicken suit from. So shout out to Bojangles for helping us out and playing along with us. It's either Hendrick or Penske for ownership points championship, I think, says Jamie Schweitzer. Yeah, that's definitely a fair bet every time. Glad to see I'm not the only one that gets overlooked. Mine didn't cost me. Oh man, says Aaron Flynn. I feel terrible about that. I'm getting roasted, which I deserve to get roasted for that. I can't believe I missed it. I apologize again, Jamie. That's my bad. I'm worried about Briscoe. Briscoe will be fine. He's always been streaky. Penske not being fast is music to my ears, says Say Kyle, not Cal. I mean, they're just not fast for Penske. They're still fast. Like Trackhouse has a good shot this year. Yeah, Trackhouse has got 2 cars in the top 5. They're arguably just as good as Hendrick right now. Barry's not ready for Cup, sorry to say, says Danny Moore. Well, I mean, a lot of people feel that way. Yeah, you're not hurting my feelings. He kicked our tails every year in the Cars Tour, so him struggling a little bit doesn't hurt my feelings at all. And I'm pulling for the guy, but it doesn't seem me to at least see him struggle for once in his life. Has Hendrick ever missed a beat? Seems like decades of excellence, and that is spoken from somebody who definitely got their teeth kicked in by Josh Berry and Bobby McCarty. So that is definite. Tired of getting beat. Hatred coming out there. So nothing against Josh Berry. He's a nice dude. Molten Ray says I'm worried for Stewart-Haas Racing speed and pace. I mean, yeah, but they've been sort of hit and miss here recently, other than Harvick for a while. Please make a video on Lloyd Say. I don't have a pen, so I'm gonna have to try to remember that one. I don't have a pen. There's a pencil, I think. There we go. Let me write that one down because the old memory is not as good as it used to be. Let's see here. All right, I've written it down. It is added to the list. Also, RCR3 has struggled. That's another one that should be concerning. He struggled last race. He's pretty much been on pace. He's not as good as Kyle Busch, but he's had pretty decent speed. Bumblebee says, "Rest in peace to Gary Rossington." And I forgot. I meant to do a little tribute card at the end of my video, but I forgot to put it in there. He's from Lynyrd Skynyrd. He was the guitarist. Couldn't let this night pass without paying respects. So definitely respects to Gary Rossington. Lynyrd Skynyrd, one of my favorite bands for sure. Danny Moore says Barry needs support to take advantage of the situation. That's true. Agree, EB, says Mark Barning. Rossington is as free as a bird now, says Napa Racing fan. Last original member too. That one hurt, says Napa fan. For sure. Just borrow a Joey hat and we're good. Kidding, says Jamie Schweitzer. I don't know. Maybe one day I'll find that old original one that I had. Maybe it'll turn up, but I think I lost it in the move. Yeah, it sure did. Napa talking about Lynyrd Skynyrd again there, and Joey. Wait a minute. Am I messing his name up? Gary Rossington. I knew it. I knew I was gonna mess his name up. Gary Rossington. Sorry, I had Joey Logano. I was just talking about Joey Logano. Do you think drivers should get waivers for injuries off the track? There's precedent for it, so you can't argue against it. They gave Tony Stewart one, so it is what it is. The precedent's been set, so yeah, they have to be consistent and to be fair. So yeah, they had to do it. Barry never had a shot, messed up in qualifying, then long greens got him trapped down under, then the throttle issues. Yeah, he never had a chance, no doubt about it. Other than the qualifying effort, can't really judge him at Vegas. Yeah, I agree with you 100%. I think he's a great race car driver. And I got nothing against him. I was literally joking about it's good to see him struggle because I've never seen the dude struggle. He's just always been good. And like I said, after a while, you get tired of seeing the same two dudes beat you when you're a competitor and trying to win races. At least we were back in the day. We went to a part-time schedule now, so we don't do full-time. We basically just do cars for other people now. And Craig races occasionally. Rest in peace, Gary, says Quiet Cat. Herbst has been faster than Custer and Xfinity so far this year, says Mark Barnum. Yeah, so who had that on their bingo card? Nobody. Nobody. Napa fan. Rest in peace, Mr. Kent Rossington, Lynyrd Skynyrd founder and R&R great. For sure. Napa Racing fan says, I was thinking of Tuesday's gone too today. Being Tuesday. Also, BB thinking of the Earl episode where Randy doesn't score the touchdown. They use that song in that episode. No doubt about it. My Name is Earl had a lot of Skynyrd references. There's no doubt about it. So that's definitely a good tie-in. I appreciate it, dude. My Name is Earl, one of the best TV shows of all time. I got to go. Great show as usual, says Josh Strickland. Yeah, I'm going to wrap it up here in just a minute or two as well. So get in those last questions because I'm going to close it down here in just a minute. Jamie Spicer says, what happened to the pit crew challenge? Is that still a thing? I think they got rid of it because I don't know why, but definitely with the one lug nut, it's definitely gone now, I think. Payne, Mark, why must you do this to me? Says Molten Rage. Talking about Riley Herbst outrunning Custer so far. Sorry, Molten, says Mark Barnum. Cole needs to step it up. That's a fact. What is the deal with the Fiat, says KM? So, God, like maybe 15 or 20 live streams ago now, I don't even remember what we were originally joking about. I'm going to have to go back and figure out what originally started us joking about this, but somehow a joke broke out about a Yugo. And originally I was going to buy a Yugo. Then we started looking up Yugos as a project car. So then I started looking up if I hit 10,000, which at that time I didn't know if I was going to hit 10,000 or not. So anyway, I was like, if I hit 10,000, I'll buy a Yugo project car. Well, then we started looking up the prices of Yugo project cars, and people want an arm and a leg for a Yugo, or the Yugos are somewhere like super far away, like Chicago, and I don't want to drive a trailer into the city of Chicago because I'm not that great at driving a trailer to pick up the car. So we decided that because Fiat bought out the Yugo factory, that we would buy a Fiat that came from the Yugo, from the old Yugo factory, or just a Fiat, whichever one we can find cheaper. And that would be the surrogate Yugo project car. So now it went from a Yugo project car to a Fiat project car. And when I say we, I mean me and my bank account. So that's basically what happened. And when we get that, I will announce what the actual project for the project car is going to be. And we will do some. I will just do a series of those videos, and I will pre-record all of them so that I can drop them in a consistent manner. So it'll instead of Shark Week on this channel, we will have Fiat Week. So there you go, or Yugo Week. You got Yugo Fiat Week. So there you go. Discovery has Shark Week. Baloney fans, we get Fiat Yugo Week. So that is the origin of that story, as best as I remember it. Let's see here. Shaw says good night. Quiet says take it easy. Thanks for another great show. Hashtag Stroke Race, says Jamie. Molten Ray says just been frustrated with Custer's start this season so far. Yeah, it's been a tough one for you, Molten. And Mark Barnes saying it's early, so I would agree with that. I wouldn't worry too much. It's very early in the season. I guess we'll take a bit of time for Custer to get back to his Xfinity groove, I guess. Yeah, I think so too. Run a throwback for Kenny Rogers 12-pack movie car, says T-Van. The Gambler, Napa Racing fan. The Gambler race. Oh, God. I don't know about that. Maybe. I want to do one project before we do that, but I think this thing will morph into multiple ones. Somebody has run the 6-pack throwback before at the Cars Tour, I think, if I remember correctly. KM says love it. Danny Moore says it was a 6-pack. The Gambler is a race that you take a regular beat up car to. That's what Napa Racing fan is referring to. Have you seen or do you remember Dale Earnhardt's appearances on King of the Hill and Brooks and Dunn's music video? I do remember those. And If the Good Die Young by Tracy Lawrence. Mark Martin, I think, is in that one. Dale Earnhardt is also in the movie Basketball. He's the taxi driver in the yellow Chevrolet Caprice. The Fiat is just as bad as the Yugo. Sounds like a fun project, says KM. I appreciate it, man. That's exactly what I was getting at. Like it's awesome that it translated so well for this project. One Wise Guy says later, BB. Later, One Wise Guy. Good night, says Molten. Jamie says drive your Fiat in the Duria hill climb in my hometown of Reading, Pennsylvania in early August. 120-year annual event. There you go. That's pretty cool. I love that Iceberg didn't pick the 24 to make the playoffs. then had to begrudgingly make a Byron video this week. I was dying laughing on the inside. Says say Kyle, not Cal. Last comment, David Reagan is goated. Hey, David Reagan he's not only is he goated, he's a good dude. Everybody that has dealt with him. And with that, I am going to leave y'all on that one. So 800 or so more subscribers, and we'll get the Fiat thing in action. I appreciate y'all. Y'all have a good one. Till next time. Peace.